Alright you lot, welcome back. Over the weekend we had a bit of a discussion about basically whether Games Workshop makes the best miniatures around or whether they have been surpassed, eclipsed or just caught up with by various other manufacturers at this point. Obviously in that video I couldn't go through every single company that makes miniatures because it would have been like a week long and that would be too much to listen to and also impossible to make. But in that video I brought up a few specific manufacturers, specifically one being Para-Bellum Games and their game Conquest, The Last Argument of Kings. And I brought that up because that's something that I didn't have a huge amount of knowledge of. I'd basically seen a cool kit. I went to have a quick look before recording that video because I was like, you know what, this feels like a bunch of stuff that could be right up my alley. And immediately I was confronted with an incredible looking dragon bird thing, which hilariously we're not going to be looking at today. But in the face of that, in discovering just how much cool stuff there was to be, well, discovered on their site, a good chunk of you basically went, oh my god, finally Conquest. You've discovered it, you've seen it, let's go. Now, that obviously made me massively curious, and so I decided to take a look through their site. And something that I discovered very quickly is that Conquest has got an absolute shedload of big, chunky centerpiece models. And the thing is, we're going to go through every faction and we're going to do range reviews for all of it because it looks incredible. But specifically, I wanted to look at the chunkier models because some of this stuff, frankly, I am upset that I did not know about it until now. Because this is all stuff that I really wish I had and I really want, and I think they look fantastic. They just do. They look great. Look, we're going to start out, we're not doing it in alphabetical order, so to speak. Instead, we're doing it in order of listed on the factions part. This isn't all of them. This is not even all of them. We're going to be doing it from the 100 Kingdoms down to the Wadrhun, and then in the second video, because there's going to be two of these as well, we're going to be going from Old Dominion down to the Weaver Courts. There's so much to talk about in just 5, and there's 10 total. So I thought we'll split it up, we'll make it sensible, otherwise it's going to be a 4-hour long video, and that's going to be a nightmare to try and get YouTube to deal with. So we're going to start with this, which is the Archangel, which initially, just straight off the bat, is exactly my sort of thing. It just is. Good lord. Now, a nice thing is that they have little lore segments, which I've just noticed is cut off in the preview on OBS. I do hope that's not how it's going to be when I edit it, but never mind. Kindled by the faith of the theist devout, the archangels of the Theos have descended upon Ea to cleanse the land of their enemies of the theist church. Boundless faith given form and definition by the shattered places of worship that their followers have sacrificed, these beings are a relentless foe of any who would oppose the church. Their mere presence on the battlefield elevates the faith of the devout to terrifying heights, enabling them to perform feats of faith and valour no foe has recourse against. This monster model includes an alternate head and weaponry. I think that's quite funny to put the end of lore, but still, that is frankly a very good start to what looks to be a giant angel statue. So I'm all in for that, frankly. That sounds grand. So let's take a look at the Archangel first off. The details immediately are just very, very cool. The fact that they specify that it's made from like places of worship that have been sacrificed, I really love the way that's been incorporated. Like pillars for arms, and you've got these arches forming part of the armour around the waist. Like, that's just a really, really fun idea. Also, using a big stained glass window frame as a pair of wings is absolutely incredible. That is class. I absolutely love that. What an insanely good idea. Oh my god. The head is creepy as hell, like that a lot. Also, having a halo that's made of a bunch of twisted metal, it's so good. I'm not really sure what the top right thing is on the preview image there. That's a little bit confusing. Not 100% on that, but is that the... Wait, is that the alternate head? Hang on. Let's scroll through a little bit. I mean, it's just a separate piece. That might be the alternate head. If the alternate head is a pyramid with an eye in it, that is got like rays of metal bursting out, and that then makes it look like a veil is pulled back with a crown over the top. That is genius. Whoever came up with that, I would like to shake your hand. That's got some proper like cosmic horror stuff going on. In fact, this whole thing is kind of horror-y in a very cool way. I like the sword. The spear looks so ornate and nice. The spear looks like the tip of a spire from a cathedral. It's very, very cool. Very cool. Oh, this is bloody hell, that's big. Jesus, 29 centimetres? Alright, at first glance, that is insanely tall. That's ridiculous. But the sword is doing a lot of heavy lifting there. The sword is adding... I mean, what is the sword adding there? It's adding basically 9 centimetres onto the total height of the miniature. Oh dear, that's pretty funny. I mean, still, very, very imposing, fair to say. Alternate build option with the spear, that looks really good. And yes, it is the other head. That's so good. Oh, it's so good. That's great. I really do like the way they've done the shield there. That being like a big chunk of masonry is very, very fun. The spear does look decent. That head is so out of left field, and I'm just all in favour of that, you know. Also, with that pose, it really highlights the use of that kind of shattered stained glass window section with the drapes forming wings. That's just a great, great idea. What have we got for the last one then? So, the shield from the other angle, which, it looks good. It looks real good. This is so well thought out. Like, this is a very conceptually cool miniature, but I feel like the execution of it is just as good as the concept. Like, the shield having what looks like the remains of a door emplaced in it is very, very fun. I really like the pose as well. The pose is neat. It's not particularly in action. Instead, it feels a bit more graceful than that, that's a fun choice. This is just a small thing, by the way, but the way that they've kept things, some of it grayscale, but then highlighted the bits that are optional using, or like the alternate build sections as being fully painted, that's a very fun way to do that. I quite like that. That's good presentation. You know, the giant sword is pretty neat, it is pretty fun, but I think I'm angling towards the shield and spear combo. That adds a little something to it that I'm not really sure what it is, but it feels right for some reason. I do like how they've painted this too. Has to be said, I think they've done a great job painting it, especially the cloth. It being all dirty and horrible down the bottom, that's cool. That's a cool way to do it. Oh, you know what? This is just solid. This is all round solid. I really, really like this. Oh, you know what? This is such a good start. It's such a good start to this video. Now, before we move on, I've got some good news. See, if you're from the UK or the EU, you've been able to use Warmag to your heart's desire. You've been getting your really useful boxes, you've been getting your lovely base sheets, you've been getting your magnets that go in the rim of said bases, and then you've been sticking your lads down, and you're good to go. It's a tried and true system that you lot in the EU and in the UK have been using to store and transport your miniatures for, well, as long as you've been doing it. But there is one corner of the internet that has been somewhat left out, and frankly, I've been seeing you. See, you lot from the US have been attempting to support the channel by ordering through Warmag, and you've not been able to because shipping to the US hasn't been possible. But I have got some good news for you, because as you can see right here, there is going to be a USA site announced next month, and the way to find out when that's going to occur is to sign up to the newsletter. Also, you should follow them on Instagram because they put things like discount codes and special offers and stuff on there, so it's worth doing. Anyway, we continue scrolling down, and there we go. Simply put in your name and then your email address, and then click that sign up button and you're good to go. Of course, if you're in the EU, you already know you've got your own website at eu.warmag.com. If you're looking to pick something up from Warmag, use the link in the description and the pinned comment down below, and use the code KIRIOTH at checkout for a cheeky discount. Thank you very much to Warmag for sponsoring the video. Let's look at some more massive lads. Now, next up, we're moving on to the Spires. They are next on the list. After all, it would appear that 100 Kingdoms only have one super chunky model. So we are on to the Consumption Beast, which also makes the Desolation Beast. They both look horrible. They really do. I don't know what the deal is with Spires, but good lord. That is altogether too much mouth for what that is. That's got like Gaping Dragon vibes, and the Gaping Dragon was gross. Okay, what's the idea behind this thing then? Developed alongside the Desolation Beast, Consumption Beast really meant to consume the dregs of a spawning pool before the Desolation... Okay, just from that description alone, I am just going on the assumption here that the Spire, they produce horrible monstrosities from sort of bioengineered nonsense. This could be the last of the fluids and amniotic structures left in a vat after a successful spawn. I don't think I'm completely, off the mark with my suggestion there. Darker scenarios are equally common. It was in fact watching a consumption beast devour a failed drone vat that inspired the Directorate to deploy them on the battlefield. Lovely. The carnage this multi-pedal monstrosity unleashes on the battlefield, it thrills the observers and ensured their deployment en masse. The psychological impact of eating and not just killing its foes is just the icing on the cake as far as the Directorate is concerned. Okay, so we've got... I mean, it seems like a kind of... Oh, what's the word that I'm thinking of? Like a super corporate, like evil superpower. At least that's the feel that I'm getting from this. Creating horrible monstrosities to just subjugate and subdue other powers. Whether it be what seems to be, for the most part, a just religious bunch of humans with an Archangel of some kind, all the way through to all the other stuff that shows up in this universe. I've got to read up on all this, because what is happening? I mean, don't get me wrong, I like it, I just don't understand it. But you don't have to understand something to like it fully. So let's see what we got here. So the Consumption Beast, that is a horrible mouth. It's absolutely gross. The tongue is particularly upsetting. I don't know why, but the tongue is really sticking out as a, I don't want to be looking at this sort of thing. I'm just... Yeah. No. The face... The fact that the face is so big and embedded in the chest, but then you've still got a little pair of beady eyes with a spinal cord for a mouth is... Well, for a nose, I guess. I'm trying to apply, like, a normal, like, human face logic to something that is clearly just an absolute wrong and cannot possibly be defined as such. Like, what is the logic? There isn't really any. It's just a giant mouth for horrifying people. I think the sooner you accept that, the more palatable it becomes. It is very gross. It's a little more, I would suggest a little more cartoony than the Archangel. I think it is definitely more on that side of things. But at the same time, it's got a feel of, there's a bit of like kingdom death about it in a way I can't really describe. That's another range we really should have a look at some point. But yeah, I quite like it. It's very different. It's very different from the Archangel. Like, thematically, totally different. Obviously, it being part of a different force, a different army, the style is going to be, you know, significantly changed. But there's something about the overall presentation of it that feels very alien to that. It could just be the fact that it looks incredibly alien in every way, shape, and form. We've got sort of like beetle-esque legs, but then a mouth that for some reason is also making me think of Plants vs. Zombies, but I couldn't tell you why. But then we also have this huge carapace with the extended bones going up the spinal column, and then just a caterpillar's arse. Well, not really a caterpillar's arse. There's too many horrible pincery things for it to really just be called that. It's just all round, just very, very odd and distinctly alien looking. But I do like it. I do like it. So hang on. This is the Consumption one. The Desolation one. The other one's got a big mouth. This has got some... a bio-cannon, basically. It's got a big spitter where the mouth would be. Alright. Okay. Yep. I mean, that is definitely what that is, isn't it? It's a big green goop cannon is what we're dealing with there. That's a significant upper body change between the two models. I'm assuming, actually, the mouth slots in at the front there. That would make the most sense. Yes, it does. Okay. I will say, that change in the upper silhouette really makes those two models look very different. I know the base is the same, like the legs, but the addition of that mouth really alters the overall presentation of it, even if the bottom half is the same. That's quite a neat way to do that. I quite like that. You have got a bit of that repetitive leg thing going on that can be an issue with like Mega Gargants and Imperial Knights, but I'm assuming you don't see a bunch of these all just lined up with nothing else breaking it up. That's my guess. I could be totally wrong. Those of you who play Conquest, do let me know. But that's the gut feeling that I'm getting. But I do quite like this big bio cannon thing. That is pretty fun. That's pretty neat. The sort of exposed brain on that as well. Have they both got a kind of exposed... Well, I guess brain isn't really the right... It looks sort of brainy, but not really. It looks more brainy on this one. Either way, kind of alarming. Pretty grim. I've just realised that there are so many left. Let's move on to the Abomination. So the Abomination is again Spires. Also, Artisan series, there's like a difference in terms of the big models here. It seems like they have kind of special guest sculptors come in and do the Artisan series models, which I think is a really cool idea. Having someone whose work you really respect and really like, having them come in to design like a big centerpiece flagship model for you, then crediting them as it being their thing, and then releasing it as a special thing, that, honestly, that's just kind of neat. I just think that's pretty cool. So, the Abomination. Oh, so this is an upgraded and updated sculpt with a new look and superior assembly. Okay, so this is an old one that's been redone. So, they were an advanced and cruel form of punishment, devised on a whim by the Sovereign. Ensconced deep within an Abomination lies the body of an exile who has betrayed his trust or breached the most sacrosanct of Spire laws. Survivors speak of a keening whine just on the verge of hearing that pervades their memories, a sound that registers deeper than the cries of their fallen comrades. Oh dear. This is the only sound an Abomination can make. Jesus Christ. The only sound it's allowed to make, a keening howl to convey the depth of their misery and torment. Alright, cool, nice. So they go through things that impair their cognitive function, they get chemical and hormonal treatments, there's life bonding gifts that are suppressed and they lose control of them. Interesting, I definitely need to read more into this, don't I? And the humble ant's instinctive hierarchical physiology somehow made it more susceptible to pheromonic command, forcing the body to respond to orders while allowing the compromised psyche trapped within the hellish amalgam only enough control to wail its anguish even while enacting the will of its tormentors. Good God, that's horrible. That's genuinely not great. I mean, it's very cool. I like it a lot, but gross. Okay, so this is sculpted by Michael Contreras, I think it says down there. Nice to see the credit. It's nice to see it. God, this is horrible. This is great. I mean, it looks great, but it's pretty awful. In a good way. The massive insect sort of spider leg things coming out of the back is... Oh, man. That's a lot. There's a lot going on there. I really like all the detail in the armour across the chest, or like the armour plating, the carapace, the chitin, whatever that is, it looks pretty neat. That exposed bit in the stomach, which just looks like more armour, but slightly different, that's a very nice touch. The legs are upsetting. They are kind of upsetting. They feel a bit backwards and inside out, but it's effective. The very normal shaped arms, then sort of compared to the not in any way normal legs, and then compared to the big old spider insect leg stingers coming out of the back of the neck, all of it combines for something that just looks horrifically alien, but it still has a relatively humanish face. So that's nice and upsetting, isn't it? Yeah, very nice. This is a wild model, honestly. It really is. It's absolutely mental. There's so much horrible insectoid detail, but then you've got these ports that have been sunk into the flesh and stuff. Like, this looks pretty high-tech, which is super interesting, because I'm getting, like, you know, I hate to go full Adric and boss baby this, but I'm getting, like, the sockets they plug power armor into from the stuff in the legs. But then, if you look at some of the stuff from the 100 Kingdoms, it's literally just, here's a knight with a sword, and that's it. There's no sci-fi stuff at all. It's just a dude. Whereas this feels very sci-fi-esque, which just makes me more curious about the rest of this setting, frankly, because this is coexisting with stuff that looks to be basically just old tech and kind of fey wood elf stuff. Like, how does this fit in? I want to know, because it looks cool as hell. Horrible, really gross, but really cool. That big old... Is it the thorax? Is that what it is? That back bit on a bug with a horrible stinger? Man, that is pretty cool. It's really weird. It's just so weird, but it is neat at the same time. Okay, next up we've got the Siegebreaker behemoth. Again, Spires. They've got a lot of big, chunky, horrible things, you know? They are not skimping on the awful monstrosities. So what's the story behind this thing? Let me guess, there's an orphan inside or something. So no creations of the Spire embody both the Directorate's pursuits of efficiency and the Sovereign's quest for perfection. Oh, so a two-tier ruler then. So the Siegebreaker behemoth, it embodies both. Its limbs are designed to dig, climb, and still strike with such force it captivates the very air, producing a thunderous boom that dwarfs the sound of its impact, treading metal, pulverizing stone, and obliterating flesh, obviously. Its sinuous serpentine body is almost nothing but muscle and armour. Nice. Sacrificing everything for power, mobility, and durability. Nervous system is a complex mix of simple systems that govern its movement and complex self-referencing pain and pleasure receptors attuned only to its hearing. This is intentional, for its control is established by frequencies known only to its master, who dispenses pain or pleasure, ensuring the compliance and good behaviour of this unstoppable behemoth. Wow, what? Oh, hang on, who's this four-legged freak down here? An abomination? Look, we don't have time. We've got more stuff to look at. Okay, so, I mean, essentially, you've got a massive slab of muscle covered in bone armour with massive wrecking claws, no eyes, a very cool helmet-style head. I don't know. Oh, no, I take it back. There are eyes. There's quite a few eyes, actually. That's what all that stuff in the middle is. Wow, that's very fun. Having a totally blank sort of faceplate on this thing, or bone plate, or face, dunno. But then have... Oh, it's hands! It's hands opening the eyes! There's hands opening the eyes. Okay, alright, cool. What? What is this? I hadn't even twigged that those were hands. That is the sort of nonsense bullshit that I do. I love that. That's great. That's very fun. Also, all these big channels in the back of it, I'm assuming because that's part of the ear situation it's got going on. Oh, this is fun. Again, thematically, it feels like weirdly different to some of the other stuff. I think maybe the colour scheme being totally different makes it feel separate to the Consumption and Desolation Beast and the Abomination. Like, this feels a little bit different, but it's still very cool. It's very cool, and I love the detail of the hands opening the eyes. That's sick. That honestly rules. I love that. Okay, next up we've got the Stoneforged, so we're moving into Dweghom. Yep, that's that lot, and I mean, that to me looks like a big stone robot being controlled by a dwarf. Have we got a proper, like, fantasy dwarven faction? Sort of, not fantasy, but sort of steampunky, magitech-y dwarven faction? Because that'd be cool. Alright, what's this lad about? The re-emergence of, oh dear, Ishkados from his presumed death, sure, has thrown the tempered cast of the Dweghom into disarray. Acknowledged as one of the greatest geniuses of his age, his unorthodox approach to sorcery and its craft revolutionised the field in a society that does not particularly enjoy revolutions or innovations. That's a very fun description, like that. His ascension to Steel Shaper and presumed death relieved many of his peers who were alarmed at his notions. His sudden re-emergence astride a stone behemoth whose revolutionary crystal matrices can be used to channel both earth and fire essence has alarmed many of his peers, but not so much that they have not copied his creation and brought it more in line with orthodox Dweghom society, granting the tempered cast a powerful new protector. Okay, that's fun. So they not like how things were before. They don't like things changing. Just sounds familiar, doesn't it? But obviously, if it's something they approve of, they will decide to use it for themselves. That's fun. Okay. I mean, this is like, I've used the term Magitech a couple of times. I know there's probably an actual term for it, but that's just the one that I was kind of like, it was introduced to me as, where it's the whole thing of, this is essentially advanced technology, but it's powered by magic. And it's just stuck with me, that kind of phrase. And this feels very much like that. Huge, like, stone sculpted sections, but then you've got these crystals powering it. You've got things that just outright look and are technological in nature, but just using arcane power to function. It's a very cool style. It's very fun. I like it a lot. I feel like this is a fun example of it. Things like having faces sticking out of inappropriate areas is a very dwarven thing, which I don't know really anything about this universe yet, but that's the feel I get from this, like, pretty heavily. Which, to be fair, when you look at the guy on top, you can see why, right? You can see why. This is a fun one. I like this a lot. It feels like another sort of slight style/tone shift, but not in a negative way. I really like the huge, weighty kind of feel of the bottom of the legs, but then it feels like a bit of utility has had to take over. The massive amount of stone that makes up that chest is pretty fun, and then having all these kind of glowing sections across the limbs, that's fun. That's a cool way to do it. Now the thing is, I know from having set this up before I started recording that I've tried not to really look at anything. I just sort of opened them up so that we could take a look. This, I don't remember seeing anything that looked like this from the other big stuff for the Dweghom, so this is going to be interesting, because the next thing was the Ironclad Drake. Now, there's the Ironclad Drake, right? And there's also the Hellbringer Drake. I mean, that is just a dinosaur with guns. That's all that is. It's not a complaint. I don't have an issue with this, but it feels really funny for this and this to be like same guys. I mean, I do kind of see it. I think it's just the shock of a giant dinosaur with guns on initially made me think, what is happening? But I guess it kind of makes sense if they're used to putting guns on dinosaurs. Then this lad showing up with this, that is a significant change if you're used to this. If you're used to the giant dinosaur with guns on. I mean, it's pretty good. It feels like something that should be on the cover of a metal album. I just don't know what band that would be for, but I would buy it. Like, I would 100% buy that album. Are you kidding? Look at it. It's just oh, it's silly. It's silly, but in the way that I like. Anyway, what even is this? Let's have a look. Let's see, because I just got distracted by, well, what it is. Following the defeat of the dragons, it's long been common practice among the Dweghom holds to capture and break the lesser Draco forms to service. These drakes haul the Hellbringer cannons, weapons designed to hunt and kill dragons and level cities, as well as anything else unlucky to... I mean, well, yeah. I can see how those would be used for hunting dragons. So this is a post-dragon fantasy-ish world, then. Context clues suggest that dragons used to be pretty important, and now they're all dead because they got shot by things like that, which makes a huge amount of sense, because I feel like anything and everything would probably die being shot by that. But yeah, is it a bit silly? Yes. Does it also rule? Yes. I mean, the guy on top doing the pointing looks fantastic. The fact you've got a gunner in each of these Hellbringer cannons. They've got an open back, which isn't really my favourite, but they look really good from the front, and I like the armour plating and that little bit of, like, I say little, it's not really little, that significant kind of shift in technology going on here, but it's technology attached to a Drake of some kind. I mean, it's just rad. It just rules. What do you want me to say? Look at it. Now we're on to the Nords. So we've got the Jotnar? I think it's Jotnar, but then Seed? Oh, don't know. Why am I even trying? So this is another Artisan series, and it's a giant. It's a big giant. So definitely a big giant. And he looks... Oh, wow. What? He's with the hole in the head. Wait, we don't know what he is yet. Hang on. I've said giant. Elemental giant, clearly. Some sort of elemental giant. Millennia has passed since Haslir's defeat of the giant gods and the shattering of their children, driven by conflict since the fire giants, or Jotun as they are known in Mannheim today, eschewed the company of their bitter cousins, choosing instead to follow their mother's vision. For centuries, these estranged cousins have avoided each other at all costs, their rare meetings frequently ending in discord and bloodshed, but this has started to change. Prometheans from the southern Firelands have started appearing in the northern lands, preaching visions of the return of their mother and the release of their father. Okay, cool. Such is the passion of their conviction and their visions, that they have cast away their affiliation, gouging out their own eyes, wow, that their next vision will be their mother returned and healing them and elevating them to her side as her most favoured children and keepers of law. Oh god, I'm really liking the background for this. This just seems very, very fun. Their words have touched a chord and long dormant hope in the Titans and Jotun alike, fanning the flames of a feeling long lost to them. Hope. Okay, alright, okay. I mean, that's a lot of pressure on the mum. They've carved their own eyes out. If she doesn't come back and heal them, they're just blind. So that's a lot of pressure. Let's hope she, makes the return journey or whatever. So the actual lad himself, alternate head option as well there. We've got a bit of a helm option too. That's fun. The hair I really like. The hair looks fantastic. The sculpting on the muscles is really good. And this sort of almost like eruption where it looks like there's crystals poking out. Well, there are crystals poking out of the flesh, but it's also combined with almost like fire damage. Now, is the molten lava sort of rock arm and chest is that following a similar pattern to the runes that have been carved into the flesh on the other parts of the body? Or I would really like to pick it up and move it around and have a look at it, because it feels like that could be the case. Oh my god, the difference in textures on this. I want to paint this so much. I really want to paint this. The fact that the runes are raised lettering, but you've also got all these crystals alongside this molten rock flesh, but then the hair is kind of a mixture of hair but also sculpted details. But oh man, this is great. This is so good. This is so good. Tall as well. Tall lad. Oh, I really like this. I really like it. That is very, very cool. I like the weapons as well. So in the picture for the box, it says 2 heads and 2 weapon choices. So you have got another blade. So the axe thing? The elemental rock rune axe? Sure. There is something a bit different if you want it as well. This is right up there. I will say so far, out of all the stuff we've looked at, yes, the gun dinosaur was hilarious. But in terms of the overall theming, I think the Archangel is still right up there, right? The Archangel, I absolutely love this. This is very much my sort of thing. This is not just a close second. This is just on a par for me. This is absolutely fantastic. Love it. And there's more. There's more of this lot. So there's the Mountain Jotnar, which, I mean, it's going to be another giant. I feel like we can say that fairly confidently. Actually, I'm going to check the lore out, because it might not be a giant. It might be a titan. Oh god, a quick scan of this, and there's so much stuff that I could mispronounce here. So, following Ragnarok and the burning of Yggdrasil, the Jotun threatened all human life in the northern continent. The emergence of the... oh dear... Einhar from their slumber. God, it's worse than trying to read out Leagues of Votann names, because I think this is probably just actual words. From their slumber brought their dominance to an abrupt and final end. With their greatest shaman kings broken, the Jotun were made to bend the knee and swear allegiance to that lot and their human subjects. Today, the few remaining ones of them can grant truly exceptional leaders authority over one of these towering behemoths. Strong and tireless, a Jotun is a priceless asset to the community he is assigned to. Okay, so the Mountain Jotnar is, it's another giant, and towering over 6 meters. A tall lad. Makes sense, he's a bloody giant, isn't he? Of course he's tall. That bit of armour on the shoulder is fantastic, like that a lot. The cloth is so good. The fact that he's got stuff growing out of him is kind of neat. Well, is it stuff growing out of him, or is it rocks that are sort of, he's turning into them a little bit? It's a little bit difficult to tell, but that makes it, if anything, more fun. The beard is fantastic. Love the beard. The pose is really nice as well. I like the clenched fist in one hand, but then a little sort of beckoning finger in the other. That's a very nice little touch. These, oh man, just these sort of giants as a whole are really, really good. They are really good. I really like them. They are making me realise that, I don't know, how do I put this? I like the Mega Gargants that Games Workshop does, but the repetition in them puts me off them a little bit. Plus, the repetition also dictates that the way they've done the kit is you basically have one body type and nothing else. This doesn't have this problem. This doesn't have this problem. These look different to each other in a significant way, and I'm liking that a lot. Like, this guy looks absolutely solid, looks fantastic. Doesn't look like him. Just doesn't. 2 totally different separate kits. Funnily enough, means you get actual different separate models. And I think I prefer it when it's just 2 separate models. Now, admittedly, not cheap, either of these. Not cheap at all. 130 euros? What is that in quid right now? So that works out to about £113 as of time of recording. Obviously, it could be different tomorrow. But, I mean, how much does a Mega Gargant cost? Hang on. And a quick visit to Games Workshop site puts a Gatebreaker Mega Gargant, and therefore all Mega Gargants, at 135 quid. I know we're not comparing apples to apples here, and I know it's a different system, it's a different game, it's a different company, it's a different studio, different designer, etc, etc, etc. But all the same, frankly, I feel like this is just... I love this in a way that I just simply don't love that. I don't know how else to put it. That's just incredibly cool. That is maybe not quite as up there as this, but that still looks insanely good. Now, to be fair, I can't remember how tall these are. I don't know. But on its own merit, if we're just comparing giant guy to giant guy, I mean, these two are my giant guys that I would go for. And this guy is absolutely my giant guy I'd go for. 100%. God damn. Anyway, that's a massive sidetrack. I'm not doing the thing of, Games Workshop make bad stuff. That's not the point. This is looking at something new. And it's just difficult to not compare to stuff I'm used to. You know? That's the thing. I'm not trying to be all like, this is just vastly superior. But it is difficult not to compare the thing that you've just discovered to the thing that you've, been most familiar with for the most amount of time, Essentially, they're all fine, but I think I'm discovering that I have some preferences that I didn't know I had until finding this stuff. See, do you get what I mean? Yeah, it's fine. Look, we've got the Sea Jotnar as well, and he also looks great. Not as strong on the pose on this one, actually. Not as strong on the pose. I do like the gill legs. Those are kind of cool. In fact, that overall sort of fishy appearance, that is kind of nice. I'm not sure about the big worms coming out of the beard. That's a choice. That's a very odd choice, but I don't... Yeah, sure, fine. I like the weapons. The weapons are cool. The anchor, classic. Classic. Having a big anchor on a giant who's got a bit of nautical stuff going on, you just can't go wrong. Also looks like a crow's nest as a pauldron. Hell of a good idea. Love that. Yeah, this is decent. Also, the trident made up a bunch of like horrible predator fish jaws. Great touch. Like that a lot. Overall, this isn't quite hitting the same mark as the others for me. There's something about it that I'm just not feeling it quite as much. It still looks good, don't get me wrong. It still looks good. But there is a presence, an aura, as the kids might say, that this one doesn't quite have compared to the previous two. But I couldn't really put my finger on why that is. And it really just highlights the whole thing we say every time we look at models. In fact, it's all subjective, doesn't it? I bet there's some of you looking at this going, what are you talking about? That is the best thing you've shown so far. But it's just not quite... It's not hitting the same spot, However, let's see what we got for the Ice Jotnar. That, immediately looks solid. What's his deal? So, few and far in between, Ice Jotnar with an ability of their kind, and the most powerful of the Jotuns, gifted with an innate mastery over storm and ice. It showed their massive forms are sheathed in heavy ice and rime, allowing them to wade into battle unscathed, while conjuring jagged shards of ice from thin air to hurl at their foes until they close distance. Oh, dads. Oh, all right, lads. The writing here, though, the writing has been pretty good so far, but hurl at their foes until they close distance with their hapless foe. You need a word that isn't a foe in there. That's too many foes. What a nitpicky thing to go after. Anyway, sapped of his strength and vitality by the aura of unnatural cold that wreathes their titanic forms, foes are easy prey to these massive warriors. We definitely need to stop using the word foe as much. But, that being said, this lad looks absolutely solid and has that sort of aura that I like from the other two. This looks grand. This looks great. The crystals growing out of the forearms is fantastic. I love that really brutal looking armour. It's not really armour, is it? What is it? What even would you call that? The thing that's going over the shoulder. Also, is that implanted in him? It looks like it's implanted. It is implanted in him. Okay, all right. That is hardcore. Good lord. I like the mail over the fur there on the shoulder. That's really nice. Also, big old greaves. Big old greaves and boots there. Looks really, really good. Oh, this is a really solid model. There's just something imposing going on here. Just looks super, super imposing. Really, really nice. That box doesn't do him justice. You need to get a picture of the lad on that box. The sketch, the drawing is cool. I would argue in this specific instance, The model is so good. The model is so good. Put it front and centre. Because that is quality. The bits of fur on like the leather around the waist, the way that the cloth is folding and the leather is folding and twisting, coming down from that, almost like, what's it called? It's not a girdle, is it? It's whatever that central piece of armour is that wraps around. That being made of a bunch of overlapping metal plates is very, very cool. Also, his staff is solid. Like that a lot. Now, it's going to be on something completely different now because we are going on to the Wadrhun, and I switched over and immediately faced with this absolute chonker. Highest price we've seen so far, by the way. This would be €210. Sorry, €209.99. That is a massive dinosaur. I mean, it is literally just a massive dinosaur. I don't even know if we need to read the lore for this, because it is clearly some form of T-Rex-esque thing that they've strapped a saddle and some bones to. And I really feel like if you need more explanation than that, what are you doing, you know? Let's look anyway. When the Abereth Spire fell to the Dweghom advance, it was not only the W'adrhrun who were released. Millennia upon millennia of predatory and dangerous creatures, dormant fodder for the Twisted Spire experiments were released as well. Oh, so the Spire... Ooh, okay. So the Spire was sort of potentially in charge for a while? I gotta read more! Of all those countless creatures, none has thrived like the apex predator. Clearly. This monstrous beast has been harnessed by the W'adrhrun as a living engine of destruction, lending its primal savagery to that of the W'adrhrun forces. You also get a rider, an old sculpt of the Predator character. I know it doesn't matter. It doesn't affect anything but the little asides at the end of the lore of, like, this is the storied history of this unit. Also, there's another head in there. For some reason, it makes me laugh. It's probably the most sensible place to put it. I don't know where else you put that information, unless you do another tab that you expand that's like, this kit contains. But it's just, I get into the story of it, and then right at the end, it's like, product info, and it takes me out of it real quick. Doesn't matter, it's not an actual thing. I'm not making a real complaint, but still. Okay, I mean, it looks great, but it is a giant dinosaur. It's very, very cool though. The rider looks very cool. I like that a lot. I like the kind of mix of scale and feather that's going on. That's very neat. The armour being used to protect the soft underbelly there appears to be the carapace from another dinosaur, so that is hardcore. Like that a lot. The headdress looks so cool there. That angle is top notch. Really like that. That is fantastic. It's so chunky. So chunky. Oh man. I feel like there's a kind of I'm probably thinking of completely the wrong influence, but the default thing my brain always goes to for when it comes to those big like crests and so on is always like kind of Aztec-y, but I really, really like this. This looks very, very cool. This looks very fun. So we've also got the Drum Beast. I mean, again, I feel like I'm not even going to read the lore for this, because I know what the lore is. They need to communicate with armies. They've got a whole force. I'm going to say a significant chunk of the force is on dinosaurs. So they've got big old drums, big old gong to communicate orders, and they've got to have somewhere to mount that, so it's on a dinosaur. I'm going to check the lore, but I'm pretty sure that's what it's going to say. They're deeply musical people, so it comes as a little surprise that the beating heart of any tribe's encampment is the large ritual drums and horn, borne on the back of a particularly docile and placid tom-taur. When the tribe marches to war, it does so to the clarion call of massive horns and relentless beating of its drums. Alright, I called half of it. It's cool. It's not criticism of the lore. It's cool. Look, everyone who watched Mad Max Fury Road agreed that the Dweghom was absolutely fantastic, if kind of ridiculous. Yes. I failed to see the issue, and this is basically that. Oh no, we got some close-ups of the people on board. A bit more orky by the look of things. That guy is absolutely jacked. Jesus Christ. What the hell? I mean, again, there is no real criticism to be had here. It is a big old dinosaur with war horns and drums and a massive gong. You've got a brazier on the side. There's little smaller dinosaurs clinging to the neck. Little flying lads. I mean, it's stupid. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Love it. But silly. And sometimes that's all you need. Look at that. I really like that. I'm not... Okay. Oh, no, I was going to say I'm not sure on those ropes. Like, the ropes look really big, but it looks like they lose a bit of detail as you go further down. I don't know if that's necessarily true, actually. It's a little hard to tell. Overall, though, I mean, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. There's a lot of, like, layered detail. And they haven't skimped on the underside of that massive platform either. They really haven't skimped there. There's a lot going on. Oh, you know what? This is actually very cool. It's just very cool. Alright, we're on to the last one for this video. I've been recording for an hour and 5 minutes. It's not going to be that long in the edit. I'm also still coughing. I'm not 100% recovered from whatever that flu thing was. I've had to be put on medication and stuff, so don't know what's going on there. But it's making recording things a bit more difficult. But there's a lot. There's been a lot to look at, but we do have one left, which is the Quatl from the Wadrhun. And it's another dinosaur. It's another dinosaur. But this one's a flying dinosaur, alright? Soaring on thermals above the oases and the wastelands, the Quatl captured the imagination of Wadrhun from the very beginning. Unfortunately, the process of bonding and domesticating one of these terrifying beasts is an arduous one that begins as soon as it's hatched. Its imprints on the first living being it identifies as its mother. Countless braves found an unfortunate end seeking to tame adolescent Quatls, only to be torn limb from limb by their enraged parents or the beast itself. Oh, okay, so now they know how to do imprinting. So there's way more riders, and there's difficulty in acquiring a healthy Quatl egg, which means you can't have as many riders as you want. Loath to risk these rare resources in combat, enterprising riders have learned to use the beast's speed to maximum effect, soaring through the battlefield at breakneck speeds, then spearing their hapless foe, there's that word again, with their custom harpoons. Those that are not instantly slain by the violent impact are invariably slain by the sudden pull. Even larger beasts risk being mangled or even slain by a well-placed harpoon. That's cool. That is cool. So these are long, spindly lads. The riders look very, very fun. I like the kind of like dinosaur hide trousers going on there. Very stylish. The helmet is pretty fun. I do like the one with the skull across the front. That's a very cool design. The feathers again look really, really nice, and that throwing motion is awesome. That looks great. I really like that. They've used the rope to anchor it to the model in a really effective way. Like, that is a proper in-action pose, and it actually looks convincing. That's very nicely done. That's very nicely done. The Quatl is... I like it. The eye placement is cracking me up a little bit. It's probably based on a real reference of some kind, but the eye is so small for the rest of the head and the beak. I think actually the alternate head there, the one that's got the blue crest as opposed to the red one, I think I prefer that look a little bit more. There's something of the pelican or the stork about the one that's like most of the focus is on, whereas the other one, I'm feeling the other one a bit more than that one. The combination of the helmet with the skull and the head that's got the shorter beak and the longer crest, I think that's the move. I think that'll be the move for me for this model. But it is fun. It is decent. The thing is, the amount of detail on it, there is plenty of detail. It's really well sculpted. But when you're coming away from like this thing, where there's just so much going on, in a weird way, this looks a little bit bland by comparison, but it's just down to this is so busy. There's so much happening on here. Honestly, same here to an extent. Like, all of the texture off the feathers and the scales and the bones and the fur and the rope and the wood and the carvings, and, you know, compare all of that to what is a very sensible depiction there where it feels like things are a lot smoother and it's not got as much texture. It just makes this feel a bit underwhelming by comparison, but it's still solid. It's still solid. I think so far, realistically though, this lad, top of the list, absolutely top of the list, tied with this. This is still blowing me away. I absolutely love it. I do like some of the stuff that we saw from the Spires, stuff like the Desolation Beast and the Siegebreaker. Not quite my speed as much as some of the other stuff. That will forever be funny. That's my speed because it's silly. That's my speed because it's scary. And that are my speed just because I really like fantasy stuff. And that feels like a really cool mix of a couple of core concepts. Really like it. I mean, overall, this has absolutely convinced me that we need to look through all of this stuff. All of Conquest. I mean, we've done half the big lads. We need to look at the rest of the big lads. And then we'll go through and we'll do faction by faction. Because I want to see more. Because frankly, so far, this rules. And I like it. Anyway, I've been recording for so long. Thank you very much to Warmag for sponsoring the video. Go and check them out using the link in the description or in the pinned comment. As I said before, use code KYRIOTH for a discount. US customers, you will be able to buy stuff soon, should you want to do that. Yeah, you lot, let me know what you think of that lot in the comments down below. Which was your favourite? Is there any particular thing you're looking forward to seeing when we cover more of this? And what's the most insane bit of Conquest lore that you know of? Let me know in the comments. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you for the next one.